Good morning, friends. Cloudy morning here. Quiet morning. Autumn morning. Just sitting here seeing your messages come in. Chanting a little bit. Just feeling the blending of voice and soul and world. And kind of that sort of gentle, simple intimacy and sacredness that we can just feel our way into, and the way the heart sort of longs for that, responds to that. It's like the heart most wants to join with others, wants to join with life. That's what love is, really. It's like the heart finding a way to join with what's happening, to know that quality of intimacy. And in many ways that can happen, join with beauty. The heart can join with beauty and kind of know that sense of gladness, wonder, gratitude, appreciation. Well, the heart can join with pain, which is equally important, actually, in the sense of the heart's solidarity with suffering. There's nothing pleasant about suffering, but there is something kind of right about the heart opening to, joining with, lending its goodness to suffering, rather than just shutting down to it, or just getting overwhelmed or flooded by the fact that there is suffering, the fact that things can be painful. I hadn't particularly meant to speak about the heart this morning. I thought I might speak about something else. I said yesterday the theme would be naturalness, and somebody asked about the khandhas or aggregates yesterday, so I thought I'd speak about those this morning. But hey, here's the heart. There's something equally natural about the heart. And I think partly why I'm struck and why I find myself speaking about that today is, it's partly it's those two things, really. It's the heart, those two faces of the heart, which are equally natural. The heart's capacity to open to beauty, sacredness, gratitude, blessing. Just feeling that this morning, sitting in my garden, in this little hut, listening to bird song, seeing all of you arrive, feeling very appreciative. And equally, just the heart joining with suffering. This big earthquake in Morocco, more than 2,500 people dead. So far, that will probably rise as the extent is known. Another 3,000 or more injured. And then just the huge disruption, the loss of life, loss of livelihood, loss of family, loss of home. It's like, there was somebody here on retreat with me last week from Morocco. And, just here practicing together, and then wake up. And in this person's case, her husband and children were in the mountains very close to the epicenter of the earthquake when it happened. And 3 or 4 hours, she wasn't able to get in touch with her husband. Didn't know, the state of her family. And actually, they were okay. But just that sense of, the way in which, and letting the heart join with that too, the way in which our lives are uncertain. And then just a little further along the same coast in Libya, there's huge floods at the moment. And again, more than 2,000 people died. And that same kind of just swept away in a moment. And Just seeing some of the places you're joining from and knowing the floods that have affected some of you as well in the last couple of years. It's painful. It's painful to open the heart to that which is, to the uncertainty of our lives and of each other's lives. And yet I wonder if you feel as we talk about it, oh, there's something just right. It's like there's something, it's right to acknowledge that. It's right to bring suffering in and let it tenderize the heart. Let it galvanize the heart. The more we let suffering in, the more we build our kind of a sort of sobriety. We build that sort of inbuilt sense of, oh yeah, it's painful, and there's a deepening sense of confidence that, given that, that suffering will be a part of my life, is a part of my life in various ways, just as it is for everybody else. Aging, sickness, death, they're all coming to visit, as well as, various kinds of loss that can touch us in any given moment. Loss of, whether that's material loss, loss of relationship, loss of loved ones, loss of opportunity, loss of health. Who knows? Who knows what today holds? And yet, we kind of, we let that in, and we feel the deepening sense of the steadiness of the heart, the capacity to meet what arises without drama. It's like building this capacity of the heart to feel really deeply. And when we can feel really deeply, and I don't mean just feel intensely. Sometimes we feel intensely, but there's a lot of story that goes with it. We make it very personal. Oh, I feel so bad. And then we get swept away into the drama of it. Talking about feeling deeply, where we have that sense of, the heart has a lot of space. There's a lot of space that we can be deeply touched by suffering, or deeply touched by beauty, and yet not carried away by it, not lost in it, not overwhelmed. And there's a kind of I'm talking about naturalness this week, the deep naturalness of the heart. What's the naturalness of the heart? What's the nature of the heart? To feel. And that's where our practice points us in a way, is to be able to feel deeply. When there's not much, when our heart is squeezed, right? When the heart is squeezed by undigested material, when our heart is squeezed by fear and resistance, when our heart is squeezed by lack and neediness and agitation, then there's not much, there's not much room. So you add something, add some beauty and pleasure, or add some suffering and difficulty, and it's like then it overflows. And we feel like we're drowning. It's too much. So it's like our heart, our practice. We just let in beauty, and we let in pain, and we let in just the kind of miraculous and mysterious, unknowable world, in such a way that we sense a deep heart, a spacious heart, and therefore a confident heart that can metabolize what arises. There isn't really a shortcut for that, right? I wonder what's in your heart right now, just as I'm speaking about this. Because whatever it is, the invitation is, can we let it come forth without making a drama about it? Let our heart feel. Maybe both the pain is painful, to evoke this sort of large-scale human tragedy. And we could point around the world and evoke all kinds of different tragedies, human and non-human, ecological tragedies, environmental tragedies, war tragedies going on in Ukraine and elsewhere, the tragedies of human conflict, tragedies of human damage to each other and to the world, etc., etc. And then we may have personal tragedies. You may be in the midst of illness or loss or separation. And then also simultaneously, in the midst of that, it seems like they don't belong together, but actually they very, very much belong together, to while letting our heart be available to that which is painful, also sensing that which is beautiful. The fact that we've got eyes that can see, lungs that can breathe, ears that can hear. The fact that there's a sun that shines and a planet which turns. The fact that trees grow. The fact that there's birdsong. The fact that there's anything at all. There's a kind of wondrousness to the fact that there is life. And the fact that the organ of perception of life, which we usually call me, this organ of perception of life, is here, available. Beauty and pain, gladness and hurt. It's all natural. So rather than just being pulled away by that which we like and want, and being overwhelmed by that which we don't like and don't want, this kind of extraordinary practice, being in the midst of, being steady with, being open to. And it's like this then that we practice together. Please take your seat for meditation. When I say take your seat, it's not just a figure of speech, it's a real practice instruction. What does it mean to really take your seat, to really gather your attention, to let your attention form and brighten and settle into your seat, into the feel of being here, into a body on the ground, into the stillness of meditation, into the dignity of your posture, into the aliveness and movement of sensation. Into the tide of the breath. Into the luminosity of awareness. entering deeply into the experience of being here. Entering as fully as you can into the feel of this in-breath, this out-breath. To open the heart to this moment's experience. Is first of all to open our receptivity. Open to the feel of this breath, the feel of sitting here, the feel of this moment, the feel of whatever stands out to you right now. It's the art of gently ignoring all our thoughts about what's happening or about what could be or should be happening, our thoughts about ourselves or about others, our thoughts about meditation. And just to feel these legs on the ground, the uprightness of your spine, and the tide of your breathing. Feeling the gentle swell of the in-breath. And the gentle softening of the out-breath. And that momentary stillness between breaths. So the swelling of the in-breath, the softening of the out-breath, the stillness between breaths. To truly open the heart to one thing, to anything, is to learn how to open the heart to everything. And so as our one thing, we just take this most simple, most direct, most intimate aspect of experience, a breathing body. Where in every moment gives us the opportunity to learn, how can I open the heart to this? This breath. This feeling. This moment. However it is. the more we open to the focus of meditation, to just this breath, the more we find we can also open to whatever else is going on. Sounds, sensations, thoughts. And find that there's room for everything in this openness. That the heart can be open, deep, transparent. An open space of care and receptivity for all that comes and goes, for all that passes through. So really open to experience, to open to breathing, to open to anything. There can't be forcing, pushing, trying. Openness to experience comes through softening and relaxing. Let yourself use the qualities of the breath. Right? In the in-breath, a natural expansiveness, a natural quality of opening, expanding, including. And in the out-breath, a natural quality of relaxing, softening, opening. Last few minutes of the sitting. If there's some discomfort, some difficulty, just seeing, what's possible in being open to this? Is it possible to open to that which is uncomfortable, to be tender, to to be interested, to care for that which is unpleasant or unwelcome, so that it can tenderize the heart. So that this moment can be characterized most essentially by a sense of love for that which is here, whether we like it or not. May we know the depths of an open heart. May our practice be characterized by the courage and the beauty, and to keep on opening. May we learn to love that which comes into our lives, whether we like it or not. All right. A little time for questions, if there are any. Anything that you feel like you might want to give some air or attention to. Anything you might want to ask about that might be a support to your practice. A couple of things before the questions. Firstly, George, you mentioned to me a kind of clicking or Morse code, you said, that seemed to be going on in the background, and thought it might be some interference. It's just some kind of something natural. It's something out there. I don't know. Is it still happening? So I noticed during the meditation, but whatever it was, that it's some kind of bird or insect or I don't know what, but it's a garden sound, so not a technical issue. Second thing, I spoke yesterday about that kind of declining attendance line that goes from Monday to Friday, and there's actually more people here today than yesterday. So such was the potency of the encouragement to stay steady during the week, that actually people who weren't even here yesterday felt the call and came along. It sounds like. So that's nice. Yeah. And just that reminder, that of if you were here yesterday, the way we were talking about that, just sustaining of it, bringing action and intention together. And let's see if we can really carry that through the week. And then thirdly, just the daily mention that all of this being here together, this having a platform for teachings and practice and Sangha is all managed through Sangha Live, which runs on goodwill and generosity and your support. And the many thousands of euros of monthly overheads, can only be met through your kindness and support. We try to support you the best we can. We ask you to support us the best you can. And that mutuality, which is the essence of dana, the sense of offering to each other, offering practices, offering teachings, offering support, offering goodwill. And the sense of this practice deepening between us, deepening through the generations, rolling on with the engine of the heart, really. And we support each other by caring for each other and offering to each other. Kind of beautiful, right? As opposed to just a transactional thing where we sell you some kind of access to the platform for the month or whatever. So there's a link to offer in the email that you'll have received, and George just posted the link there, sangha.live/donate. And just to thank you for the support you might offer today or any other day, and the way that allows all of this to happen. All right. Question, Ariane says, would you speak more about rebuilding the capacity of the heart, especially when coming out of a time of significant overwhelm, in my case, recovering from parent care-related burnout, and old, under-resourced parent who doesn't have access to other attuned listeners? Bringing up aging and death, the moment I say, yeah. So that sense of rebuilding the heart, Ariane, it's really like, if you know that you've been, overwhelmed, then important. The thing you've overwhelmed is it's too much, right? And so it's really important that you consciously make time and place to turn towards that which is not too much. So what are the resources for your heart? And meditation might be one of those, but like music might be one of those. Walking in the park might be one of those. And you really let yourself, it's not just about, I'm going to go and walk in the park, right? It's about actually letting in the walking in the park as, this is nourishment from the heart. It's like letting your heart, actually consciously turning towards it, letting your heart take in that which is not too much, that which is supportive, that which is nourishing. It's like, oh yeah, there is room for me. There is room for just to feel, right? There is room to let in that which is beautiful. There is room to be resourced. Because when we feel overwhelmed, the sense is, there's no more room. And so we get used to it. It's like we're trying to defend against what's happening because it's too much. And then even when the situation changes, well, maybe now in this moment, maybe it's not too much, but the habit of defending can carry on. Right? So that's the sense of rebuilding in terms of the language you use. It's like making room to make sure to see how you can consciously allow your heart to be touched, right? But not by that which is too intense, because then of course it becomes too much again. So maybe what we were doing this morning, for example, is in line with that, and turn towards the simple, and turn towards the beautiful. Right? The difficult will more easily become overwhelming. So so really just to see for yourself, okay, what are the good resources for me? and not to have some idea about what should be. There should be some super spiritual resources. It should be all about meditation, for example. That's a problem sometimes meditators think. It's like meditation's supposed to do it all. That's why I suggest other things. It might be just listening to classical music. It might be lying on grass. It might be walking in the sun. It might be getting a massage. It might be something playful. It might be badminton. Right? It might be watching TV. Really, I mean, it sees watching TV. Well, no, it can't be that. That's just a distraction. I should be doing something more conscious. No, watching TV is a good way to relax. But you let yourself, rather than watching the TV as if I shouldn't really be doing that, and then that feeds into the defending. Right? Defending against what's happening. If it's watching TV, you let yourself. It's like letting yourself. I'm watching TV as a way to relax, as a way to just let things be simple, as a way to not have to be in touch with that which is too much. So, of course, we can see like resources in a kind of hierarchy of what are the more potent or the more subtle or the more powerful or the more spiritual resources. But don't worry too much about that hierarchy. Make sure you first make room for whatever resources work for you. Yeah. And then actually the more you use whatever resources work for you, then the more we get to taste just a quality of a certain just ease and steadiness, then the more easy it is to actually orientate towards what we might call the deeper resources. Yeah. All right. I hope that's helpful. Julien says there is an image of parts of the body perceived, touch, form, proprioception. Is it a mental representation of the body or direct sensations together? My focus of attention moves from one area of the body to another as if it required attention. There is an image of parts of body perceived. So there may be an image, right? So as you move from one part to another, right? You have your attention. If you just checking through body, you might have an image. I'm moving from my knee. I have an image of my knee into my thigh. An image of my thigh. Right. It's fine that there's an image there, but don't rely on the image. Don't let the image be the main thing. Let the direct contact, the feeling inside the area of the body, let that be the main thing, and let the image be secondary. The image or the description, my knee, the label, my knee, my thought, my thigh, let that be secondary. It's like 5-10% of your attention is on the image or the label, and most of your attention keeps going into the direct experience. And then we don't have so much a sense of parts of the body. We just have a sense of the whole field of a body. We can enter into different parts of the bodily field, but we start off with an idea of, this is my body, it's this shaped and it's made up of these parts, right? And then as we just enter in more fully, the sense of part dissolves into just a field, and a field that doesn't feel like this shape, a field that feels sort of diffuse, large, edgeless, in fact, edgeless and centerless and constantly in movement. Yeah. And I hope I'm answering the question. I'm not 100 sure, Julien. And then attention can move to one area of the field to another as required. Like you say, you can have a sense of this is what needs attention. This is what's calling for metta, etc. Yeah. So that's the progression. We have a sense of going from one part to another, as if they're kind of, and the more our image of or idea of the body is made up of the more we're relying on image or idea, the more body seems to be made of parts. The more we just enter in, the more body becomes a kind of integral or whole or seamless or edgeless field of sensation. of experience. All right. Ollie says, I'm noticing strong thoughts of anger and an accompanying sense-making of group situations that I've experienced as collective shaming towards me. The sense-making seems to bring peace. I'm seeing more clearly. Okay, good. And today I recognized that actually it's crucial to allow this force to arrive, as it's what helps me regain my will. Okay, I have a voice inside me that says I should let go of the thoughts, but actually it seems more healthy to allow them and the accompanying awakening of healthy boundaries. Thoughts about balancing angry thinking and staying present. So, Ollie, yes, it's sometimes we can be too quick to try, I've got to just let go of anger. And then you're not really letting go, you're more repressing, actually. And so with the angry thoughts, most important is what you're really digesting isn't so much the situation. It's the emotional reactivity. Right? So anger in this case, in all cases, has two most important components. It has the situation, right, where the thoughts go, what happened, who said what, how bad it is, why they're wrong, my fantasies of revenge against them or whatever, right? The justification for my behavior or the complaint about the behavior of another, etc. And then it has the feelings, the heat, the anger, the kind of the bubbly, the discomfort of anger, in association with that, the kind of the whatever, the sense of feeling shamed, the indignation about that, etc. And that's what needs the most attention. The thoughts will still be there about what happened and why, but you can't solve it all on the level of the thoughts. Right? So when we keep meeting the heat, the anger, and just making room, like in the way we were talking about today, we find that the thoughts about the situation then become clearer because they're less pumped up by the angry feelings. And as they become clearer, like you say, it might be just, oh yeah, I need to just make a boundary there. It might be clearer, oh, actually I need to apologize. Or it might be clearer, actually I need to withdraw from that contact with that person, or whatever it might be. Right? So it's not black and white, like, oh, one goes with the thoughts or one lets go of the thoughts. Right? It's actually the thoughts will naturally be there. If you're angry about something, there will be thinking about what you're angry about. Of course there will. And it's just like, let the thought, the story and the drama about what has happened, it's there, but it's most especially, it's like caring for the uncomfortable, hot, bubbly, angry feelings that are there, so that as we take care of that and it clarifies, and you'll see, then the thoughts about the situation get clearer. Yeah. 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 Okay. So I'm just noticing some of the comments. Yeah. All right, friends. Well, stop there for today. It's nice to see you. Nice to read your comments. Nice to recognize the many, many names that are familiar from so many times and places. Yeah. So here's wishing you well. Please go through the day as much as possible with a sense of just how can we open? How can we open whatever it is? How can we open to this? And of course, sometimes when we ask that question, it might be, I can't open to this. Okay. That's what we were talking about in response to the person asking about overwhelm, right? Someone's like, oh no, actually this is too much. I need to open to something else. And that's wisdom sometimes, to recognize that which is too much and I can't open to it right now. So let me open to something else. Let me open to actually the fact that I need to withdraw. I need to take care of myself. I need to rest. I need to say no, etc. All right. Thank you. See you tomorrow.